Collective. Keyshawn, J. Will, and Zubin presented here by Progressive Insurance. All of our guests, including A.J. Hawk, who has quite an interest in a couple of his old teams, the Packers and the Ohio State Buckeyes, coming up here in just 30 seconds. The changing of the guard, you woke up Monday and Kansas City and not Pittsburgh was in first place in the AFC. And you woke up on Monday and it was the Green Bay Packers and not the New Orleans Saints that are in first place in the NFC. So you got Kansas City and Green Bay. Many think they're on a collision course for Super Bowl 55. The future of the league, the present of the league, and Patrick Mahomes versus a guy that's going to leave an incredible legacy in Aaron Rodgers. Both guys looking for Super Bowl championship number 2, and both in some way, whatever order you want, going 1-2 in the MVP race. And for more on that, let's bring in A.J. Hawk. He's a BCS national champion, a Super Bowl champion, a 2-time All-American at Ohio State. Is that all he did? His player resume brought to you by Indeed. Hiring you need Indeed. Learn more at Indeed.com/credit. AJ, that's Jay Will giving you a shout out. Let's start here. Let's start with the NFL. We'll get to Ohio State in a moment because I know Jay Will is rare to talk about his Buckeyes with you. But first things first, you've watched Aaron Rodgers' entire career. Is the way he's playing right now, is this the best football we have seen from Aaron Rodgers?
Wow, that's a great question. I mean, we've seen him do so many special things over the years, and I got to see it firsthand for so long. But yeah, I mean, I'd be hard pressed to point to a time in his career where I could say, oh yeah, he was far and away playing better then than he is right now. Like, I feel like this year he's found a way to he's kind of put it all together, like physically, mentally. Like you watch him play, he just looks like he's having so much fun. It looks like it's easy for him, which is something that he's been able to do his whole career. And you mentioned he and Patrick Mahomes, standing up top, fighting for that MVP race. I tell you what, it just got me thinking. Like, State Farm is not too upset. State Farm has both them and their campaigns running commercials all over the place. Like, those guys, that was money well spent to get those two guys.
How confident are you that the Packers can make a serious, and I mean serious, Super Bowl run?
I'm very, very confident in what their offense is able to do, and mainly because of what Aaron can do. And Devontae Adams is one of the most, for some reason, like under the radar, unbelievable superstars out there in the league. I think he's finally starting to get a little pub of what he deserves, but he is so good, and he's so good for the team and such a good leader. But I'm super confident in their offense. Their defense, most of the times I'm very confident, but what worries me is what happened last year in the NFC Championship game when the Niners were able to kind of run all over them. I just hope something like that doesn't happen again, to where their defense can kind of get exposed when it really matters.
Will it take for them to have the number 1 seed to get one of these Tampa Bays, one of these New Orleans, the Rams, Seattle, to that minus degree temperature in Lambeau for them to advance to Tampa Bay for the Super Bowl?
I mean, it definitely can't hurt. I think we know that they can play well in cold weather, and some teams handle it better than others, depending on who comes in. I mean, there's so much just up in the air. I feel like in the AFC and NFC this year, what are the Saints going to be? When does Drew Brees come back? Are the Rams all right? Are they legit? Like, they're up and down, their consistency, but they look pretty good right now. And Tampa Bay with Tom Brady, I don't know exactly who they are. I know they got a win last week, but it's just it's such a unique year. I have a hard time predicting anything when I'm trying to pick, like, who may win this game? I don't know. Like, you never know what's going to happen. Patriots go out and win, 45-0 a couple weeks ago? Like, I could have never guessed that.
AJ, what's the one thing that could derail the Packers' chance to win the Super Bowl?
Well, first off, you got to make sure you find a way to keep Aaron upright and keep him healthy. That's the biggest thing. I think you need him in the lineup, and guys like Devontae and the running backs, and their offensive line has done a good job too. But I think a team that could come in and be fairly balanced and have success running the ball and then letting that open up everything else, and trying to, when a team could do that and if they can control the ball and keep it out of Aaron's hands and kind of keep the Packers offense off the field, that's what would scare me the most if I was on the Packers team right now. I don't want to say scare me, but I should say as a fan right now, that's what does scare me when I think about what could happen to them in the playoffs.
Well, who would be some of those teams? What's an example?
Man, like, the Saints always worry me. I never know exactly what they're going to be. They have the ability to be so explosive offensively, and their defense, I know they didn't do it last week as much as they have throughout the year, but their defense can play, and those guys can fly, and they can create turnovers. So a team like that would worry me a little bit. I guess when I look around the NFC East, I don't know if I really would worry too much about Washington. Now I know you can't take anyone lightly, but they don't have they're not scoring a ton of points offensively. Their defense knows how to score points though, so they're always going to battle. But it seems like New Orleans and the Bucs, if they find a way to put it together here in these last 3 weeks of the regular season and start to play their best football, that'd be a team I'd keep an eye on too.
A.J. Hawk is joining us, the former Packers and Ohio State linebacker. We dug in deep with Green Bay. Let's get to your alma mater, the Buckeyes. What do you feel about their chances to make the playoff, and how do you feel like the Big Ten has handled them and all of this controversy this year surrounding the minimum game requirement?
Well, I think we could have seen this one coming back when they postponed the season back in the day, and then they make the announcement they're coming back, and there's still like 6 weeks until they started. I knew right there. I started to get worried. Like, wait, why are we waiting 6 weeks to get started again when these guys were out there working and doing voluntary and different workouts together? So they didn't leave themselves any room. But I think with what the committee did going back and getting Ohio State in the Big Ten championship game, I think it's right. I think it's the right move to make. And guess what? I am biased. I went to Ohio State. I live in Ohio now. So sure, you can call me biased. But if you're trying to find the 4 best football teams in the nation, I certainly agree that Ohio State is in the argument to be one of those top 4 teams.
But AJ, is it right to put them in the playoffs with? Right now, they would have a minimum of 6 games, a maximum of 6 games with the Big Ten championship. When there's other teams that have played, several more games, is it right just to stick them in there because of the brand?
I guess it depends on who you're asking. Or if we all know like the brand and the money that Ohio State can bring in for networks and everyone involved. I don't know if it's right. I don't know if it's fair, but I think that's kind of where we are right now in 2020. The NFL season, I know going into the year, they said, like, hey, this is not going to be a completely fair situation, and it's not going to be a balanced competitive field. Like, there could be ups and downs, and you never know if you're going to have how many guys are going to be available for games due to COVID and everything. So I don't know if it's right or fair. That's a great question. It depends who you ask, but I think I guess it may not be fair to some teams, but I think it's the right move right now.
AJ, if USC is 5-0, if you could flip them, would you have USC in?
No. Should I? Do you think I should, Jay?
I'm asking you, but Keyshawn's been making a push for USC to get in there. I wanted to hear what your thought was.
Don't speak for me.
Well, I hear you every day.
I understand you. Hey, guess my good buddy Graham Harrell is the offensive coordinator out there at USC, and I love that guy, and I think he's going to be a head coach soon. But I'd be weary putting him in. I think it's definitely something that I think people at USC have an argument. I really think they should be ranked a little bit higher, and they understand, like, hey, what's going on? We're still undefeated too. But yeah, I don't.
That's what I was going to ask you, AJ. What's the difference between Ohio State and USC? Both are 5-0. Both are going into championship weeks to play in for the championship title. What's the difference? You can't.
Much stuff to talk about.
Yeah.
Is the fact that,
hey.
You said it, fellas, is the fact that we had a changing of the guard atop the conference standings, or has simply order been